In this video, Audrey will show you how to make earrings from recycled paper. For this project, you're going to need some felt pens, any colour you like, a ruler, a magazine or shop catalogue. You're also going to need some paper glue, some scissors, a paintbrush and something to put the glue in. You're going to need some cheap nail polish, clear. You're going to need a knitting needle or something similar. You're going to need just something to lean on when things are drying. That will make more sense in a few moments. A little bit more specialist, you're going to need some ear wires, some jump rings, some head pins, all of which silver plated would be ideal. You're also going to need a couple of pairs of jewellery pliers. And finally, any assortment of beads that you like the look of for your finished product. The first thing that Audrey is going to show you is how to mark out the pattern for the beads. She's going to use a piece of white A4 paper at the start, just because it's easier to show you. The first thing she's done is she's marked 2 centimeters all the way along one edge of the paper. And on the opposite side, she's done exactly the same, except the first one is only 1 centimeter. After that, it's the same. It's 2 centimeters. Then she's going to join from one side to the other side. Now, an important thing to remember here is this. The colour felt pen that you use for drawing these lines is the colour that the bead for your earring is going to be when it's finished. So Audrey's chosen pink, so she'll have a pink bead for her earring. If it's blue, you're going to have a blue bead, etc. Try and make sure that the felt is a reasonable thickness for drawing the lines. You're going to get a long, thin triangle, and what Audrey's doing is joining and making a couple here. It would be really boring for you to watch if she went all the way across the page, so she's just doing 2 to show you what they look like. So they're long, thin triangles, one going one way, the next going back where it came from. Audrey's not using plain white A4 paper. She's using pages from the kind of free magazines that you can pick up in shops. Make sure the paper's not too thick. It's not going to be exactly A4 size, but A4 gives you an approximate idea of what you're looking for. You can see that she's marked out the pattern, and it's the 2 centimeters all the way along the one edge, and the other side the same, but starting with the 1 centimeter, and then join from one side to the other to create the triangles all the way across. Having drawn the pattern, the next thing will be to cut out the triangles. Now, as you see, we've just marked the edge there just to show that the very end piece is going to be scrap that you don't need. Now, as Audrey cuts, I'll just tell you a little bit more about what we're doing. So for the particular earrings that Audrey's going to show you, she needs 1 of these triangles for each earring. So she only actually needs 2, even though she's drawn the whole pattern. Obviously, you can be creative and make any design of earring that you want to once you know how to make the beads from the recycled paper. So it's up to you whether you want to do the pattern all the way across and save the triangles for other earrings, or just do the number that you need. That's really up to you. Just to emphasize again, the color felt that you choose to use is going to be the color of the bead in the finished earring. You need to be really careful to try and get the scissors over the middle of the felt line. But if that hasn't quite worked, then just very carefully afterwards, go over the edges with the felt just to emphasize the line. And that will make sense in the next step. You'll see why Audrey's doing it. It's particularly important on the very end tip. Having cut the triangles that you need, in this case just the 2, and having gone over the tip of the triangle with your felt pen, you need to turn over the triangle so that the felt colour is on the underside. Then you take a knitting needle, or it could be a barbecue skewer, very long matchstick, and you very, very tightly start to roll. Can't emphasize enough, it needs to be really tight and also even, because as you're rolling it round, that colour felt is what's going to be showing through on the bead. And the final section, she's going to pop some glue on. Audrey likes to do a couple of loads just to make sure that it sticks really well. Make sure you go right to the tip with the glue so that the very final bit also doesn't come unstuck. Continue to roll really, really tightly. And you can see that the colour is coming through. And that's why it was important before that Audrey went over the tip in the colour of the felt. Can be a little bit sticky, so just wipe the excess glue off, slide it off, and just pop it to dry. Now, just for emphasis, and as Audrey needs two anyway, she's just going to go through this process again just to make sure you're really clear. So the first thing is, you saw that she did. She turned the triangle over so that the felt is on the underside. Then, using her knitting needle or equivalent, she's starting to very tightly wrap round the triangle, starting at the wide end. And you will start to see that the colour that you've chosen for the felt will start from each edge to work its way inwards, so that by the time you get to the tip, the whole of your bead is the colour that you've chosen, plus the pattern of the magazine that you have cut out. So again, on the tip, plenty of glue, going right up to the end so that the end bit sticks properly. Audrey put quite a lot on then, so only needed the one lot of glue. It can get a little bit sticky, but you can wipe off the excess glue at the end. Go right to the tip, make sure, and again, try and keep it central, pop it off and let it dry. So the next step is the nail varnish. So Audrey's got a couple of beads that she glued a few hours ago, and they've had plenty of time to dry, and she's popping them back over the needle. You might find that sometimes they're a little bit tight to go back onto the same needle, so you might want to have the option of having a slightly thinner needle available as well. So you pop them both on. Now she's using two. You can do it like a kebab stick and have 6 or 8 on the same one and varnish it at the same time. So just going over all around the beads. Now this is doing two things. It's obviously giving a gloss to the beads, but also what it's doing is it's protecting the paper from wet, so that when you're wearing them out of the rain, the paper isn't going to disintegrate. Having varnished them, the next thing you want to do is put them somewhere to dry. Obviously not put them straight down onto your cutting mat because they're going to stick to it. So what Audrey's doing here is she's using the edge of the cutting mat, and that's where this box came in, just having it so that it's got somewhere to lean. Once the nail varnish is dried on your bead, you want to put on another coat. So you've got 2 layers of nail varnish. It doesn't make it completely waterproof, but it is the best that we're going to do. And as Audrey's husband, having seen her wear them over a long period of time, to my eyes, they don't seem to have deteriorated at all. You're also going to need some other beads. So anything that you can get from your local toy shop, jewellery shop, online. In this case, Audrey's going to use the same colour, but you can mix and match however you want to do. Then you need the slightly more specialist earring items. So you need a head pin, a jump ring, and an ear wire. And of course you need your small pliers. So Audrey's going to show you how to put the whole thing together. She's starting off with a very small bead. And the reason for this is if she uses a larger one, it's just going to slip off the end of the head pin. So she's got a smaller one first of all to keep everything secure. Now, Audrey's worked out for the length of the particular head pins that she's using the best design that she can do. Obviously, you're going to experiment a little bit because head pins come in different lengths. So you're going to figure out the best way of doing it according to the length that you've got. You're going to need to leave enough room at the end of the head pin to be able to curl over the wire to secure it so that the whole thing doesn't come falling off. So Audrey's just wrapping around with the pliers, curling around the wire at the end, which does two things. It keeps everything in place, but it also forms a loop which you'll need in a moment to connect with the jump ring and the ear wire. She's going to repeat it just to make sure you're really clear. So you've got your head pin. You're putting on some kind of small bead with a small hole that doesn't drop off at the end. Then you're working out your design. You might decide to only use your recycled beads if that's what you'd like to do. It might be that you want to do a mix of colours, use the same colour. This bit is entirely up to you, as is the length of headpin that you want to do. So curl over with the pliers. I've called these jewellery pliers. They're not technically jewellery pliers, they're pliers that you would use for jewellery. Something with a very small end that you can use for finer work. So she's curling round the headpin so that you've got the circular loop at the end. So having done the headpin with the beads, the next step is going to be to attach the jump ring and the ear wire. And she'll show you how you do that now. So you take the jump ring, and usually they come as a circle connected. What you need to do is just manipulate them a little bit with the pliers so that you form a gap that you can clip over the end of the headpin where you've just made a circle. Then you pop on the ear wire and then you seal it back together again so that the circle of the ear wire and the circle of the jump ring is completely connected so that they're not going to fall out. Let's just run that by you again. So you pick up the jump ring. It's quite fiddly work this, and I'm not sure how it's going to come out on film, but you've got the jump ring, you get the idea. You just pull it a little bit to one side to make a gap, pop on your earring, pop on your ear wire, and then again remove the gap with the pliers just to seal it all together again. A little bit fiddly, you might have some false starts, but eventually you'll get there. So there we have Audrey's earrings from recycled paper. Have fun with your colours, have fun with your designs, and until next time, this is Audrey herself saying goodbye.
Goodbye.